reality is I don't believe that your strategy would be effective. You will never reach the level of disavowal that is necessary for Republicans to stop playing in fantasy land. The reality is this didn't just happen in the last year. It didn't even happen with Trump. One, the Republicans have been building on this strategy for at least the better part of the last 3 decades.
The issue is, you're right, and the issue is it's working for them, and so they won't stop.
It's working, but part of the reason why it's working is because people are always on the defense, because retards have been convinced. People like you are saying things like, no, we just got to disavow the right people. We just got to purify our movement enough. We just got to make things perfect enough. Meanwhile, you're like on the left, you're saying that we need to successfully disavow every single fucking tanky, commie, whatever on the left, which I agree would be great. On the right, they are literally celebrate Andrew Tate. That's crazy.
That's why it would be so good to do that, because if you separate the radical left, now you can unify the Democrats. Now you can.
That's never gonna. You're never gonna reach a point where you manage. Who do you even separate from these people? Like again, I think there should be broad disavowal, but it's not gonna happen to the level where you reach some political effectiveness. Even if you totally separated from them, they're gonna still tie you in with these people. They'll still say that you guys are commies, and they're still gonna believe it. What do you think the people on the right?
Yeah, maybe the right will say that, but at least you have a public example. I mean, it's for the broader election.
I just cannot disagree with this strongly enough. This is such a flawed way of looking at it. No amount of disavowal will, prove effective. I think that is such a stupid way of looking at it. We have to imagine what the world and what the country would look like if Democrats never disavowed, And I think if you're honest with yourself and you try to examine, like, what would that actually look like? It would be, I think, catastrophic, just even worse than we're at right now.
This will be good for the election, for the future elections.
If we spend all of our time fighting with the far left, no. I think what's better for the election is have a strong liberal option.
You just publicly disavow them as strong as you can. You don't have to push anything other than that.
Sure, I agree with that. They should publicly disavow, but that doesn't mean you have to cuck out some Republican talking points. You can't, and then. You keep saying, and then. It's not like one disavowal is...
I don't even know what we disagree with then. What the fuck is... What have I been disagreeing with people in my chat then? If that's really his position, I agree. That's my position.
Disavow them as strong as you can. You don't have to push anything other than that.
Sure, I agree with that. They should publicly disavow, but that doesn't mean you have to cuck out some Republican talking points. You can't, and then. You keep saying, and then. It's not like one disavowal is going to eject all of them. There's still going to be a cancer in our politics.
No.
They're embedded in all of our media, in all of our staffer groups. In Congress, they are. So unfortunately, not for the politicians themselves, but for the other people that run their offices. Like, you're not going to get rid of all these people for the next, 30 fucking years. You're talking about a project that's going to take until we're past, the next 3 civil wars to be finished.
But so what do you want to do exactly? You just want to keep on saying...
I don't understand.
Shit?
Hold on. I'm going
to... Please, lay it out for me. Just be specific and consistent. Because we're all over the place here.
Remember, so one more time, and then I'm done. I don't know why people keep asking me to say the same thing over and over again. You do not unilaterally disavow. You say Donald Trump needs to turn down the fucking temperature.
Now I feel like I'm fucking crazy, okay? He just said 2 seconds ago, people should publicly disavow.
Embedded in all of our media, in all of they should publicly disavow, but that doesn't mean you have to cuck out some Republican for the election. Is have a strong liberal option.
You just publicly disavow them as strong as you can. You don't have to push anything other than that.
Sure, I agree with that. They should publicly disavow, but that doesn't mean you have to cuck out some Republican.
They should publicly disavow.
The same thing over and over again. You do not unilaterally disavow. You say Donald Trump needs to turn down the fucking temperature. Once I hear him calling for disavow, we would love to follow suit. The temperature won't lower until he does it. If you want to disavow tankies and all that shit in the meantime, I think you should. And then I do this. I think you should continue to do this. I don't know what's so confusing about this fucking answer. I feel like I've said this 50 times.
It's confusing because you admit that
it's frankly very confusing.
The right dominate the media, and you admit that
part of why they dominate the media is because of what you're saying right now. Is because they make us play defense all the time. Why doesn't the right feel the pressure to disavow Andrew Tate? Why doesn't the right feel the pressure to hardcore disavow the Groyper movement? Why doesn't the right feel the pressure?
Again, you can find a lot of examples of elected Republican politicians who do disavow Groypers and Andrew Tate. Like, they exist. Not enough of them, and not enough of them in leadership, but
disavow all of the anti-Semitic shit that's happening. Like, there's no pressure on the right to disavow everything. It's always like, what do we have to disavow? What do we have to defend against? How do we have to purify our movement? Constantly, over and over.
Donald Trump was pressured to disavow, like, the Proud Boys, for example. And, he refused to do it. That's arguably one of the reasons why he lost, was because he didn't disavow the extremism. What have American voters been showing us year after year after year after year? American voters are not happy with the extremism that's going on in this country. It's true, Donald Trump got elected, but there are other factors to consider here. Like the economy, macroeconomic trends was hugely, I mean, people just remembered doing economically better when Donald Trump was president. But him winning doesn't change the fact that all over the country, extremist candidates do worse.
Over again. That's crazy. That's not a winning strategy. You need a point to attack on. You need a strong position to defend. And then you have leaders in that movement. And if you want to disavow shit, they're not part of us for a reason. That's fine. But you have to have the strong movement first. It can't be a separatist thing where we just try to like move as many people out that don't agree with us. I know what us is right now. Aside from Gavin Newsom, we don't have strong leadership on the left to do it. So this idea we just need to cut out more and more people before building a strong base first is stupid. And the strong base starts by separating yourself from the truth.
What? Wait, how? I feel like he's changing his mind now, because I feel like I haven't watched a lot of his content, to be fair, but I feel like I've definitely seen clips of him talking about the importance of like booting out the extremists. I guess, did he change his mind on this, or what are you doing? Like,
and then you have leaders in that movement. And if you want to disavow shit, they're not part of us for a reason. That's fine. But you have to have the strong movement first. It can't be a separatist thing where we just try to like move as many people out that don't agree with us. I know what us is right now. Aside from Gavin Newsom, we don't have strong leadership on the left to do it. So this idea we just need to cut out.
How is this not a contradiction from his rhetoric over the last like couple months? I know that the conversations that we had on Live and Learn kind of echoed out into the rest of the kind of political space, not like the entire political space, but I know I've seen so many clips of Destiny talking about the importance of like kicking out these lefties. And now he's saying that we shouldn't do that until we have a strong like base ourselves.
More people before building a strong base first is stupid. And the strong base starts by separating yourself from the truly different people, which are the Republicans, which are the right. And at the same time, I think that also pulls the plug on some of the lefty shit, because they sit here and say both parties are the same anyway, which they're not.
But you shouldn't give them an attack vector
They are
by being edgy.
Okay.
A few moments later.
DRTO. Okay, fine.
Hey,
What's up, man?
so on the Destiny thing, I think in the first situation, a few weeks ago, he was talking about the lefties, about the people who are socialists, who are communists, who want to take over the party, that they are not part of the liberal coalition, that they are detrimental to the liberals, and I think we agree on that, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
think now,
I guess we can disagree on like the extent or whatever, because I wouldn't kick every leftist out of the Democratic Party, but yeah.
and now the people he is referencing, I think, are so he said in the clip that you watched that you have to have like a strong base. You have to have the liberal side, the strong liberal side, right? He is not including the leftists in this. He's not including the people who he was disavowing previously in this strong liberal thing, because he doesn't consider them liberals.
They talked specifically about disavowing like far lefties. And Destiny said, yes, you should disavow. And then he goes on to say, but you shouldn't do that until you have a strong base of support, though.
No, I think he's talking about two different people. The people who he is fine with disavowing are the leftists. He's not fine with disavowing violence from the liberal side. Or more so, he's not fine with the rhetoric that puts us as an equal, how can I say it, makes it seem like it's a both sides issue, 50-50. And I think there's evidence that the Democrats are ineffective at the moment at showing how unequal in reality political violence is in the US.
Yes. Okay, we got there.
There's YouGov polling that you reference.
How could you possibly justify saying, I'm going to make an effort to, distance myself and actively push out leftists who are illiberal from like the Democratic Party politics, but then say, I'm not going to make a strong effort to distance myself from people that are calling for political violence? Like, what could be more illiberal than political violence?
No.
I don't know where this argument is going to go, but there's a hang up here between the words. When I say disavow leftists, I mean like kick them out of your movement. We don't have to disavow conservatives because they're not in our movement. But when we talk about political violence, Nobody's accusing leftists of doing political violence. They're accusing all the Democrats of doing it. That's the issue. If Trump tried to blame this on... Actually, no, fuck it. If they did try to blame this on, like, Antifa earlier. And I said, no, fuck you. I'm not saying that, like, if the conservatives would have switched to blaming everything on tankies, that we should say, oh, okay, fine, yeah, maybe it's the tankies. I don't agree with that. The disavow word might be the same here, but conceptually, we're talking about two different things.
Oh, so the point of his strategy was saying that Donald Trump should disavow the violence, and we will do the same when he does. Right? It wasn't that he doesn't want to disavow the violence. He wants there to be mutual.
Can you please answer this? I'm so curious. Would you rather link with leftists or conservatives? Neither. Conservatives are politically opposite from us. Leftists exist on a different political paradigm than us.
Standard that both sides should do the same. Otherwise, you are basically you're putting yourself on the down foot.
You guys keep saying that. I don't mean to generalize. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people saying that. Well, hang on. I just want to say, like, that to me is a crazy argument. That is so insane to me to say that, you know, it's really important that we signal to other people that illiberal leftists are not a part of our movement because they're illiberal. They want to take over and they want to get rid of liberalism.
Yes.
But then turn around and say, I'm not going to disavow political violence until the other side does it. How is that?
It's not. It's the word fuck. I wonder how long that's going to be. It's not about the word, or he's getting hung up on like the word disavow. These are two totally separate types of conversations, though. One is just clearly defining politically who you align with. This is not the same type of. Fuck. We shouldn't even use the same word for the both. These are just totally unrelated concepts. These two things have no relationship with each other at all.
A defense of liberal values.
I think so. It's not that.
Fuck, and it's the word liberal too is also confusing here. The defense of liberal values, when we're talking about conservatives versus liberals, we're talking about liberals like Democrats. But when you're talking about liberal values in terms of liberals versus socialists or communists, you're talking about like liberalism, which are two totally different things. Those are two totally different concepts. But in America, I don't know why we use the same word. We use liberal to describe our left-wing party, and we use conservative to describe our right-wing party. But then liberalism is a broader concept that generally will encompass both major political parties in the United States historically. So that word is also confusing here too. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh no.
The principle is that he wants political violence. It's that political violence is not the thing that only liberals do, because the liberals are the only ones who talk about condemning political violence.
Wouldn't that be good though? Like if we're up against, we talk about the illiberal left, and one of the reasons why
No, it's not good because nobody gives a fuck. Nobody sees that. Nobody cares.
we oppose MAGA so much is because they are illiberal and authoritarian. So wouldn't
on a very personal level, and I understand people like Hutch don't go out and do public events, okay? Like, would I hold myself to this in the future? I'm trying to think. If this shooting had happened, and it was the same guy who got killed, Charlie Kirk, and we'll even say it was a leftist shooter. If Joe Biden or Kamala Harris was president, and they went on stage, and they said, we have a right-wing problem, and these guys are all trying to kill us, and this is good versus evil, like, I would seriously consider leaving the party. Because in my feeling would be, bro, you're going to get me fucking killed. You're insane. That there was a political assassination, and that side wants revenge now. I feel like I'm a decent target there, and you're out here stoking the fucking flames? Are you crazy? Why the fuck wouldn't you just come out and tell everybody to calm the fuck down? What the fuck is wrong with you, Biden or Kamala? Now, I can't point to examples of that because they always acted in presidential manners, in the ways that you would expect from good leadership. So it goes even a bit further beyond just the, like, what's the political optics? What's the most optics? Fuck the optics, okay? Buy a rope, ninja. Fuck the optics. I don't want to die, all right? And my president in my country won't tell people to calm the fuck down. That's crazy.
Liberal left, and one of the reasons why we oppose MAGA so much is because they are illiberal and authoritarian. So wouldn't
violence isn't necessarily illiberal, I think.
political violence is not necessarily illiberal. What do you mean?
Yes.
That's that's okay. That's okay. We're having the conversations now. I love Hutch and I love Pisco. I love these guys. It's good. We should have these conversations. Okay. This country was built on insurrection and rebellion. Okay. The Civil War to hold the nation together. Okay, was necessarily, it was a war. That's what war means. It's a violence. Okay. The idea that you cannot defend liberal principles from illiberal things as a last resort, unfortunately, but through violent means, there's a reason why we have a military. There's a reason why we have a police force. Like you for people that aren't willing to play in the rules, right? For murderers, rapists, arsonists, or whatever, right? You put them in prison. You use violence. For people that are trying to overthrow the country or invade the country, you fight with the military, use violence. Like, yes.
It is like the most illiberal thing that you could do.
Well, like politics is part of life, and some policies, especially when you're faced with illiberal opposition, are so.
This is silly. If Hassan or a Hassan fan murdered someone, we would disavow it and leverage it to get them out of our party. That's not what we're talking about here. That would be, I would have to think about that quite a bit, because I would say that any crazy fucking fan of Hassan that would go out and murder someone, like on the Jew shit recently or whatever, I would still hold Trump to a decent level of accountability there. How the fuck can I look at Hassan and blame this guy who's rightfully a fucking lunatic and a fucking terrorist, okay? An actual fucking murderer supporter. How can I blame Hassan, though, when the president of the United States is the same or worse? That's a hard one for me, right? Like, Hassan is definitely majorly culpable and would be in that sense for sure. But like, bro, this is my president of the United States. Hassan is a fucking influencer. We're retarded fucking YouTubers. This is the president.
So detrimental to human life that you can justify violence regarding political opinion.
Yeah, you're talking about war. Like, if it was necessary to use violence to protect liberal democracy in that way, then obviously that's a whole other consideration. Like, it's illiberal to like kill people for their political beliefs, but was it illiberal for us to like kill Nazis in World War II? Obviously not. But we're not in a war right now. We're not in war.
Well, sure, but there's
Wait, where's the tweet compilation? We're not in a war right now. Well, you don't think we are. This is war. The Democratic Party must be classified as domestic terror organization, and their member leaders treated accordingly. I'm ready for civil war. I don't want the National Guard sent to Democrat cities anymore. I want the Air Force sent. If they won't leave us in peace, then our choice is fight or die. Jesse Waters, they're at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they're at war with us. Laura Loomer, the left is a national security threat.
There's also examples of like labor movements that had to resort to violence outside of war, right? And we would say that those are principles that we would defend.
Are you suggesting that we do more political violence in the United States against MAGA?
No, I'm saying that.
And then it's always the reverse. I don't know what it is with that's so like mind broken with the Stephen G, thank you for donating 10 subs. That like they have to like just run to the Fed posting. Like, what's so hard about saying, hey, we should disavow violence as soon as the president of the United States does? That's it. And they're like, so that means are you telling me to go kill people? No. Listen to what I just fucking said. I don't know why that sentence is so hard for people to understand.
You can't make it seem that only one side is apologizing.
You're not apologizing if you disavow violence. That's not an apology.
It is. That's how the other side views it. If they say, hey, by the way, all the violence is coming from your side, and you're like, okay, well, we disavow. That's what it looks like. That's what it is. And that's how the conservatives take it.
Yes, but there is like evidence that the population has views that don't match the reality regarding this subject. Like I have YouGov polling that shows that only wait, I'll find it. It shows that around 20% of liberals think that there is more or equal violence coming from the left than from the right. This is from our people. And from moderates, there is only 11% think that it's coming more from the right. Everyone else either thinks that it's from the left wing more or it's equal. And from conservatives, it's the complete opposite. Like 80% think it's...
Wait, moderates think that? What's the polling data on that? I'm super curious. DRT, can you link that?
Coming more from the left. And as you know, like political violence in actuality is coming like 60 or 70% from the right last 10, 20, 50 years.
Well, what do you think those numbers would look like if every elected, Democratic politician refused to disavow violence, until Trump did? You think that would help that polling?
Like, how do you have such a loser strategy where you're getting so fucking raped in all of your fucking optics, and you're like, guys, we just, like, 94% of liberals stop mining down the apology tunnel right before they hit the conservative empathy vein. Like, we just gotta disavow 3 more conservative shooters, and finally they'll see how moral and epic and base we are, okay? We just need 3 more shooters. Please, God.
So I think that you don't have to, like, not this. I think I have a trouble with the word disavow. Like, I think there has to be like a equivalent rhetoric. So you can
like,
say
people need to like, you just have to have like, let's say that Hutch got, is he married? Let's say he got into a fight with his wife and he like shouted at her, and like 10 people come out and they're like, Hutch, you raped and beat the shit out of your wife? And Hutch is like, whoa, geez, like, will you at least just like apologize for like how you treated her? Like, you're not gonna apologize. No, what the fuck? It's like, oh, so you didn't do anything wrong? How do you think the middle person is going to look at this when you did shout at her, right? And you're not even going to apologize for it? Rapist? Right? You're not even going to apologize for it? The fuck is wrong with you, wife beater? You're not going to apologize for being mean to your wife, rapist? It's like, well, no, Jesus Christ. Well, no, and that's the fucking accusation. Oh, okay. All right, rapist. So you're just going to, be a wife beater? Fine, cool. It's like, the fuck? No. Like, when the right is accusing you of owning every single shooter, literally, what did Nancy Mace say? Before we knew anything at all about the shooter.
Here is Nancy Mace.
Not you. Christ, not you.
Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot and killed. In this country, we have the First Amendment. We have freedom to speak what's on our mind and shouldn't get shot because we believe in our system of democracy, conservative, liberal, whatever you are. You shouldn't be shot.
But isn't there a problem with political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now.
But isn't there a problem with political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now. Democrats own this 100%.
I know Charlie pretty well. Charlie, he's come to my district. We text and talk about policy. He was ironically trying to engage, whatever you think of his views or my views, he was trying to engage in civil discourse on college campuses and invite people opposing views and just go back and forth and have a debate. We ought to be able to debate and have dialogue and go to college campuses without, don't know this.
Holy fucking based. What? What will MAGA say if the man who fatally shot Charlie Kirk turns out to be an extreme right-wing Trump supporter? He'll just be a lunatic fringe lone wolf gunman who needed Jesus. Nancy Mace 2 days ago. We know Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for such an evil and lost individual like Tyler Robinson to find Jesus Christ. We will try to do the same.
Say that political violence is bad, but you always say after this that the right is responsible for this political violence. So you never say both sides. You never say both sides, at least without giving the actual statistics and context. You never denounce or you don't whitewash the people like Charlie Kirk, like Ezra Klein did with his article. You never give one-sided gestures when the other side doesn't give you any gestures, like when there was minutes of silence. Or
it's not a gesture to Republicans for Bernie Sanders to just unequivocally condemn political violence. You're not doing that for MAGA.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You absolutely are. Whether you like it or not, that's what you're doing.
Just unequivocally condemn political violence. You're not doing that for MAGA.
Yes, but even in Bernie Sanders' address, he didn't give the actual context of political violence in the US. She just basically said both sides. He contributes to this idea that it's 50-50, that majority of Americans also think, which is opposite to reality. So Bernie Sanders is part of the problem of Democrats failing in their messaging in regards to political violence.
Did Bernie Sanders really do that, though?
Even in his,
I could not.
I would have to see the Bernie Sanders thing, because I feel like Bernie Sanders is usually pretty good about not cucking out. What is this? Because when I saw Charlie... What were you about to say here?
People do when they're afraid.
What, maybe they adjust their behavior. Maybe when you go out, maybe when you go out, no, but they don't really. They just sell it well because you know that they don't give a. Because when I saw
What do
Charlie,
people do when they're afraid?
maybe they adjust their behavior.
Yeah, but they also.
Oh, probably when I saw Charlie get killed, it made me wonder if I could get shot and killed in an event. It's kind of scary. I think Hassan was kind of shook. I think when you watch it, it's pretty spooky. That's like I've said, like if Biden or Kamala were president and this happened. And they came out and they were like, we're in a fight of good versus evil right now, guys, okay? It's like, bro, these motherfuckers have crosshairs. Why are you saying this shit? Hello? Bernie's thing was this.
Thank you very much for joining me. I want to say a few words regarding the terrible murder yesterday of Charlie Kirk, someone who I strongly disagreed with on almost every issue, but who was clearly a very smart and effective communicator and organizer, and someone unafraid to get out into the world and engage the public. My condolences go out to his wife and his family. A free and democratic society, which is what America is supposed to be about, depends upon the basic premise that people can speak out, organize, and take part in public life without fear, without worrying that they might be killed, injured, or humiliated for expressing their political views. In fact, that is the essence of what freedom is about and what democracy is about. You have a point of view? That's great. I have a point of view that is different than yours. That's great. Let's argue it out. We make our case to the American people at the local, state, and federal levels, and we hold free elections in which the people decide what they want. That's called freedom and democracy. And I want as many people as possible to participate in that process without fear. Freedom and democracy is not about political violence. It is not about assassinating public officials. It is not about trying to intimidate people who speak out on an issue. Political violence, in fact, is political cowardice. It means that you cannot convince people of the correctness of your ideas, and you have to impose them through force. Every American, no matter what one's political point of view may be, must condemn all forms of political violence and all forms of intimidation. We must welcome and respect dissenting points of view. That's what our Constitution is about. That's what our Bill of Rights is about. That, in fact, is what freedom is about. The murder of Charlie Kirk is part of a disturbing rise in political violence that threatens to hollow out public life and make people afraid of participating. From the January 6, 2021 attack on the United States Capitol, to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, to the attack on Paul Pelosi, to the attempted kidnapping of Michigan Governor Whitmer, to the murder of Minnesota Speaker of the House Melissa Hortman and her husband, to the arson attack on Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, to the shooting of United Health Executive Brian Thompson, and the shooting several years ago of Representative Steve Scalise, this chilling rise in violence has targeted public officials across the political spectrum. Sadly, this is not a new phenomenon. We all remember the assassinations of President Kennedy, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Senator Robert F. Kennedy, John Lennon, Medgar Evers, and the attempted assassinations of President Ronald Reagan and Alabama Governor George Wallace. This is a difficult and contentious moment in American history. Democracy in our country and throughout the world is under attack. And there are a lot of reasons for that which need serious discussion. But bottom line, if we honestly believe in democracy, if we believe in freedom, all of us must be loud and clear. Political violence, regardless of ideology, is not the answer and must be condemned. Thank you very much.
This statement is cucked and dog shit. What a horrible fucking statement. A waste of time. Yeah, okay. Never mind. Jeez.
I could not disagree more with what you're saying here. You think Bernie Sanders, because he made mention, I mean, this was a moment when like he was taking that opportunity not to present as if like both sides are equally the same. He was reminding people in his statement that this isn't just a problem on the left. He wasn't even implying parity. In fact, most of the examples that he gave were people on the right committing violence towards people on the left. It was like 75% of the things that he listed off.
Just so you know, nobody on the right thinks that. Like, I don't know if Hutch is aware of that or not. The J6 stuff, it either wasn't an insurrection, or if it was Fed instigated. The Whitmer kidnapping plot, that was just an entrapment plot where it was all FBI agents anyway. The shooter for Minnesota was actually a left-leaning person, kind of, maybe, but then they stopped caring about it. And the, I don't know what they say about the Shapiro stuff for the arson. Both Trump assassins were leftists, apparently. There's no proof of any of that. But, like, they don't believe that any of these are both sides.
It was like right-wing violence. What he did was just an unequivocal condemnation of political violence, which is a necessary part of leadership. If you're going to be a party that's going to stick up for like liberal democracy, you do have to affirm that principle very loudly, very publicly.
I don't know. I think you should be explicit with it. You can't like hope that just listing a few examples will connect it to people. Like, you have to be extremely clear with your messaging. You also have to connect the Republican rhetoric with the violence. Like, he didn't say anything about Donald Trump being part of the reason why the tensions have been so high in the last 10 years.
You can do that, but you can do that after you've made like a statement unequivocally condemning violence. Like, there's nothing stopping, and Bernie's going to continue to make that case. Well, Bernie's not going to stop criticizing Trump or assigning blame to Trump for like pouring kerosene on the fire.
Who is committing violence for Bernie Sanders? Who's committing violence for Joe Biden? What do these people need to disavow? The Trump side won't disavow anything. All he's done is affirm right-wing violence over and over and over again. That's it. Why the fuck would it be on anyone on the left to disavow anything?
Like, putting out a statement, just an unequivocal condemnation the day of a shooting, that's a totally different thing than like everything that you say following that moment. You know, he's not going to go on. He's not going to. I guarantee.
I also ignore the Arizona guy who paid dudes to shoot up 4 Dem homes. What about the guy that just did the CDC shooting recently? Didn't he kill a cop?
You know, at some point in the next month, we're going to see an interview with Bernie Sanders where he addresses exactly what you're talking about. The point of the unequivocal condemnation in the moment is when the country is very supercharged and angry and at odds with each other. The whole point of that statement is to try to get people to be less angry. And so even if it's true that Donald Trump makes it worse and Republicans commit violence at higher rates than lefties do in terms of like political violence, that's not the point of the message. The point of the message in the moment is to just try to help calm people down. And then after that, you know, you can have that conversation about how Trump contributes to political violence himself with his rhetoric, how he's encouraged violence, how he's mocked violence, how the majority of the violence that we're seeing from political extremists are coming from the right. You still do that, you know?
I think the reason why this wrong perception is so popular is because in the most decisive moments, there isn't this clear messaging. If you let the actual context and the actual truth be something you say post fact, then it won't land as well after you've just done essentially thoughts and prayers the first time.
Listen, I cannot disagree with you more. Like, if you think that Barack Obama would be better, like if you think a statement from Barack Obama where instead of what he said, which I thought was totally appropriate to the situation, we don't yet know the motivation of the shooter. We must all unequivocally condemn political violence of all kinds. If he would have ended that with ... but most of it's coming from Republicans, you have now just annihilated the point of the statement. You are being divided, even if you're telling the truth. Like, we call this tact. Like, even if you're telling the truth, even if what you're saying is truthful, if you said that,
can I explain the benefit of my strategy besides?
You would have to explain how that wouldn't just light the situation even more on fire.
So you would lose like maybe the 1 or 5% of Republicans who still care about Democrat opinion. But the point is not that. The point is that divisive messaging is not always detrimental. It also can have a benefit, like politically.
Right after a political assassination?
Well,
like literally in the hours after a political assassination, you think that's the appropriate time to hash out the crime statistics?
Not exactly like.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games. Okay. I'm done today. I don't give a fuck. God, it's going to be so fucking gay if I get killed in the next fucking 2 months of shit I'm doing. Well, the cuck shit out here. Please don't anybody make any actual fucking, the most cucked, weak-ass, fucking bullshit-ass speeches on my side. God, if it happens, holy shit, I'm going to make a death note before I go out to go live and not. God, it's so cucked. It's so optics cucked. The question you should ask is, why is nobody on the right afraid enough to say, hey, Trump, can you, like, tone it down a little bit, bro? We're getting killed out here. Like, literally. Can we, like, chill? It's unacceptable that feeling doesn't exist over there. And the reason why it doesn't is because they're just, like, infinitely hyped up on their civil war machine. And then everybody on the left just rolls over on it. It's so crazy to me.
Like, literally in the hours after a political assassination, you think that's the appropriate time to hash out the crime statistics?
Not exactly like crime statistics, but you can put it on Trump. Why not? He puts it on leftists immediately. Do you agree that being the better man is not not being the better man?
Well, it depends.
Effective.
It depends on what your goal is. So, like, what should your goal be?
like elected.
Your your long-term goals or even your short-term goals of political power, that's an appropriate thing to think about. But I would appeal to your desire for more political power to tell you that I think your way would actually make Democrats look worse, even if they're telling the truth. If every Democrat that came out with a statement said, yes, what happened to Charlie Kirk was awful, but, let's be real, guys, it's Republicans doing most of the violence and Donald Trump is, making everything worse. That's not the goal, though, in that moment. Like, you're not, like, Barack Obama's not posting that, thing on his Twitter feed or whatever in an attempt to shore up, like, political power. The purpose of that message specifically on the day of that assassination is to try to calm the country down. Sometimes that has to take priority over like partisan politics. If you're talking about trying to reduce the likelihood of riots, widespread violence, more political assassinations, then it's appropriate to set aside like a pursuit of political power for the briefest of moments on a particular day when somebody was just murdered brutally on live fucking TV for everybody to see. Then it is appropriate to put that aside for a minute and just try to calm people down.
I think sometimes that reason is crucial, but other times, even if that's one part of the equation, you have to take the whole situation. Like, if you might calm some people down, but you might be losing so much other effectiveness, political effectiveness, that it's not worth it.
It's not
called like.
It's not a. It's like, it can't just be about like that. Like, well, you said, have you seen the speech that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. gave after Martin Luther King was assassinated?
No.
You should watch it at some point. It's a really good speech. He got the news, breaking news. He was at a rally because I think it was during the Democratic primaries before he was killed. And, he gave a speech it spoke to the anger that Black Americans must have felt in that moment, but he also stressed a kind of like unifying message. And it was speeches like that I think like helped to prevent more violence. Like, would it have been more politically advantageous for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to give that speech and say, I know you guys are really pissed, and let's be honest, it's these fucking racist Republicans. Like, they're obviously the problem.
I mean, didn't RFK also get killed?
He did, but you're missing the point, though. Like, if he would have said that, fuck these Republicans. Like, they're the ones doing the violence. They're the biggest problem. Like, the chances of like a riot happening would have skyrocketed. Because he would have played into people's anger and their rage, and like there would have been consequences for that.
Sure, and as I said, it's not always the worst decision to try to calm things down. But I think at the moment, considering like what the opposition is compared to what it was then, like the situation, I think is different enough that you have to take other considerations as well. And I think you agree on principle that sometimes you have to respond in kind to MAGA. Like, I think you support the California redistricting, thanks.
Yeah, of course.
In response to Texas. This is basically the basic strategy, like tit for tat. And I think that Democrats should basically make a big list of all the MAGA policies that are egregious, that are illegal, that are unconstitutional, that are illiberal, and you should go line by line and decide what is a good proportional response by Democrats to those policies.
You're not. I think what you're doing is you're ignoring the importance of trying to do what you can to influence a de-escalation after a political assassination, and you are injecting politics into that kind of like hypothetical, what you think would be a better kind of thing, a better kind of statement to make, but you're injecting politics in a way that increases the chance of violence. If every single Democrat that came out with a statement said what you're saying, injected the partisan nature of the politics into these statements, the odds of like riots happening across the country go way the fuck up. So it's not the point. It is not the point of these messages after political assassinations to try to like increase your margins with independents by 1 or 2%. That's not the point. The point is to try to calm things down as best as you can. And you don't do that by, especially after a conservative was murdered, you don't do that by saying, but the real problem is, you know, conservatives and extreme far right ideology. You just do. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say the first statement you do is what Obama, Bernie Sanders, etc. did, and they did, right? Everyone, politicians, commentators from the liberals, not the tankies, etc. Everyone gave like what your idea was, right? Basically, I think, or 90%, like they were good messaging in your opinion. Like the montage, the collage with everyone. So everything after this, I think we can both agree, has to be what I am suggesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I agree.
Aside from that, do you agree that Democrats should do equivalent retaliation to Republican policies, to Republican rhetoric? Outside of like political assassinations?
I don't know about I don't want to match their rhetoric. Like I don't want to just do their rhetoric, but kind of direct it at them. But after the statements are made to try to calm people down or whatever,
equivalent in our like it should be forceful, maybe not the same style, but it should be the same oppositional nature, the same.
Yes, of course, of course,
of the base.
Of course, yes. Like you can do it the day after, maybe you know, maybe if not the day after, you know, maybe like the next week or like a few days afterwards, or whatever. But we should go back to like an equilibrium once everybody has done what they can in the moment to try to calm people down and prevent further violence from breaking out. I mean, you agree that like political violence in this kind of way is really cancerous in that it spreads very fast.
Sure, but
if it's really unchecked, it'll just spread across the country. It'll spill into cities like all over the fucking country. The whole point of the statements that people like Obama and Joe Biden made is to just reduce the risk of that happening. And then once you get out of that initial danger zone of like the day he was assassinated or like the next day or whatever, then of course you go right back to confronting the reality of political violence and correctly identifying like from what direction it's primarily coming from, and having a leader like Donald Trump making the situation worse. Of course you talk about that, but you don't include that. You don't include that in your statement that fucking day.
Okay, if you want a compromise, I think one statement is enough, like the day of, but everything else should be like equivalent retaliation. You can't be, and you can't pretend that I think you agree that political violence isn't only what's like the people get shot, etc. It's the sending of the National Guard and all the illegal deportations and stuff like that. That's also political violence. So it's being ratcheted every day, and not just what we see in the news or what we see that is announced as political violence. It's a much wider problem.
I fully agree with you. I have been talking about this problem for a really long time. I will continue to start talking. I've already started talking about that. If you go to my fucking Twitter feed, it's all about how like this is fucking crazy and hypocritical for people like Shoe on Head to be framing this as though this is a uniquely left-wing problem. It's such bullshit. I spent all fucking day yesterday tweeting about that. So I'm on board with you, but I'm trying to get people to understand like the reason why you see the statements that you saw from the political leaders, and it was framed that way, and it wasn't some partisan political thing, is because they're doing what actual leaders should be expected to do in a liberal democracy, if you want to defend a liberal principle of like, we don't kill people for speech and we should not resolve our political differences with violence, the best thing that they can do on that day is to just come out and unequivocally condemn the violence. Destiny's position seems to be that this is unilateral disarmament. And I think it's complete bullshit.
Well, I'm not sure how. So I think this is like the most extreme part of his argument, but I think basically it's been building up that he wants like this tit for tat strategy to be applied. Maybe you disagree on the extent and to the most extreme part, which is the political assassination disavowal thing. But I think you should probably agree on 90% of this, or you should agree for this strategy to be applied in 90 or 99% of cases when you're dealing with someone like MAGA. So I think you guys probably disagree, and I can probably am more on your side about the day of statements about the political assassination, but I think we're missing the bigger picture that Democrats are not playing tit for tat with Republicans, and they are losing elections because of this. And that is Destiny's main objective with talking about this game theory thing.
Again, MAGA lost a lot of elections because of Donald Trump's extremism. It hurt them.
But they also won all three branches of government. Trump got re-elected on the same platform.
That doesn't change what I just said, though.
He got more radical and still won, and won harder. Isn't this like progression is not in our?
No. If they hadn't have lost all the seats that they lost, or lost out on opportunities to flip certain seats, then he would have bigger majorities in Congress to work with right now, and it would be more difficult for the Democrats to take back the House in next November. This idea that Donald Trump, he won an election in 2024. They have very slim majorities to work with in the Congress. And the first time around, they had like a 40-seat majority in the Congress. It was way easier for them to pass bills if they wanted to do that. Now it's really fucking difficult, and it's just a lot harder to get stuff done with those kind of margins, and it's a lot easier for Democrats to take back the House. Just because he won in 2024, just because they won a Dem trifecta, and this is the point that Laksha was making when we had him on the podcast. If that would have been kind of like a quote unquote more normal kind of like Republican candidate like Nikki Haley, she probably would have won by like 6 or 7 percentage points and had way bigger majorities to work with in Congress.
Nikki Haley would probably lose to Kamala, though.
I don't think so. I really doubt that.
Wait. Can I? So I think that the reason why they won three branches of government, the reason that they won against Hillary, is because Trump is so unhinged. The reason is it is part of the reason why.
And what happened? What happened after he won, though? What happened after he won? Like we went on to 2018. There was a blue wave election. They got fucking crushed, and then we got a trifecta in 2020, and then had another good midterm performance in 2022. All of that happened because Donald Trump is extreme. Like it became a referendum on Trump. And then we had
You don't see the alternative. The alternative is they run a neocon, and the Democrats don't lose an election in 10 years. So
no, I totally disagree with you on this one. The idea that
Trump voters, the main thing they like about Trump is he stands up for what he believes, and that includes like his unhinged comments. That includes like him being racist and xenophobic and idiotic on different subjects, like always speaking his first thought that comes into his mind. A polished politician isn't what they're looking for. They wouldn't have won.
Let me try to explain this in a different way, okay? Because like 2022 was a really interesting year in terms of midterms. Donald Trump endorsed like 8 or 9 Senate candidates, Republican Senate candidates, who were election denialists. They were running people like Carrie Lake, Blake Masters, that guy in fucking North Carolina that called himself like Black Hitler or whatever, Herschel Walker, he had endorsed all these candidates, put his thumb on the scale to get them across the finish line so they could get past the primary and then on to the general. And then what happened that night? They all got wiped out, dude. Like they should have had, in a year when we were experiencing inflation that we hadn't seen since like the fucking 80s, they should have like dominated us in 2022. Like that should have been a massacre, okay? If we compare it to like 2010, that was a wipeout, not just in the House, but all over the country at state, local level, but student board seats. Like the Tea Party movement, the Republicans just destroyed us. And what happened in 2022, which was like the worst year of inflation, we picked up a Senate seat. That happened because he is extreme and the candidates that he endorsed are extreme. The idea that go ahead.
The reason is that it is a code. Like they want him. They vote on elections that he is in, and when he is unhinged, he makes the code stronger. Like he won barely won electorally against Hillary, and he won the popular vote against Kamala. And
barely, by the way.
Yes,
barely.
Barely. And so I think you have to, while he does lose a lot of people with his extreme rhetoric, he also wins an incredible amount of people and extremely dedicated people with his rhetoric and his divisiveness. You can't ignore this when you consider what the Democrats can do. Maybe in some places you have to be the moderate, but in other places you have to take into account that divisiveness can be an important strategy for making a stronger coalition on your part.
I mean, it can. It just depends. But like you're like Donald Trump certainly has a strong like base. What his base is, like ride or die, they will never not vote for him. I would guess it's like the floor is like 32% or 31%. I'm not really sure. We can see how far. I mean, like if he, for example, if we go through a period where unemployment ticks up and inflation ticks back up again because of these tariffs, I think we'll see his real floor. And I think maybe he could even drop below 30% or whatever. But the strength of his base is not the most important factor to gauge like how effective he is and has been, or how politically viable he is. Like you need a broader coalition when you advance to the general. And
sure, but it radiates out.
Right. I'm making the point that if there was a quote unquote more normal kind of like Republican president, then Kamala would have lost by like 5, 6, 7 points. And that would have been in line with what incumbent parties all over the world were experiencing in the post-COVID economic contraction. So yes, Donald Trump won. They would have done better if they had someone who wasn't as fucking crazy as him.
I don't know. I disagree, but that is like a complicated thing. I want to ask you finally, like a hypothetical about when it's too late, or what you should be arguing with people who don't think that the rhetoric should be turned down. So like imagine that it's like 1990 and you have a political commentator in Bosnia, let's say his name is Stefan Bunelvić, and on the other side you have Donald Trump, who is Slobodan Milosevic, and MAGA is the Serbian government. I don't know how familiar you are with the Bosnian war or genocide, but let's say that you have one side that is going to get genocided in 5 years, basically. If the commentator thinks that there will be a genocide, or he's seen the future and he knows that there will be a genocide, what is the best rhetorical strategy that you would recommend this commentator in the next 5 years? Again, should he be toning down the rhetoric or increasing it on his side?
I don't think Democrats should be toning down the rhetoric, like broadly. I think we should be very aggressive and confrontational with Donald Trump. And I think that, like politically, that's a smart thing to do. And if you look at his numbers, they're going down, 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 down. Like he's kind of stabilized a little bit around like 43 or 42% or 44%. I'm not really sure what his numbers are at right now, but
Okay, that's good to hear, because I think a lot of the people that were in that debate that you listened to, like they were basically for talking about toning down the rhetoric, and that was part of their strategy. And I think,
I mean, I don't,
depending on your view of the future, you have to be ready to do the opposite. And I'm glad that you agree that, I mean, not in maybe the most radical way, but there should be like a mutual, a sort of a tit for tat that the Democrats play. And tit for tat is not only escalation, because there is the possibility that when the Republicans see that this game is being played, they also might moderate a bit, and at which point you also moderate a bit. And that way you can bring down the temperature by doing tit for tat.
I have certainly never advocated to like not be aggressive just because of this like Charlie Kirk shooting. I am literally just talking about a single one-time statement of unequivocal condemnation of violence. You do that on the day of to reduce the likelihood of the acute danger of political violence spreading, which we've seen that happen so many times. Okay. It's just after that, after that, you can go right back to confronting their rhetoric and not giving them an inch. But that initial statement is really important.
Yes, I think we agree, but I don't think this, like the part after this, is what is being practiced by most politicians, at least. I don't know about commentators too much, but I think it has to be emphasized for the 99% other of time that you have to answer equivalently, or at least in your style, but in equivalent vibe. And I would, before I leave, there is a really nice interactive game thing that explains game theory in simple graphics, and not graphics. It's like a little game, and it also talks about the why the political division is increasing right now. And it might be good content, but you don't have to play it. If you don't want to, I will put it in Twitch chat.
Probably won't get to that today, but wait, what is this? Hold on. The evolution of trust. Playing time 30 minutes. I'll bookmark this. Maybe we'll get to this another time, but yeah, it was
it's like the the train experiment for philosophy, like the trolley problem.
Yeah.
It's like similar to that, but for game theory, like a little explainer thing that is fun. So
okay, yeah, that's useful.
I think that's basically what Destiny's whole thing has been the last couple of weeks. So it might give insight into his ideas. I know you guys disagree about the day of statement, and
I'm pretty sure we agree, like basically universally, on everything after that point that he's making. I could not agree less with the idea that there should be no disavowals until Donald Trump disavows. I think that's just horrible in practice, but it was good talking to you.
Yeah, same. Thanks for the time.